Okay, sorry, we're getting some sound feedback here in the room. And Pavel's going to talk to us about the threat vectors in deepfake and video injection and attacks on age assurance systems. So, Pavel, over to you.
Thank you. So I'm basically coming from the academic side of the age insurance, industry, I guess, global age assurance. So, and I'm working on not just age-related issues, but in general, like fraud detection, media fraud detection, audio-visual images, and we just had several workshop that is kind of similar, but it was more extensive, so I showed more examples. But here, basically, my point will be to show you some examples that exist and available that you can do with the free software tools, spoof systems, including age insurance systems. And I'll just give you some example of what we have been doing at IDIAP to do that, and also we've been trying to detect them as well, but today I will focus only on I will only scare you, I will not give you hope, basically. That's the point. So the point of the talk is make you depressed. Also, I wanted to introduce quickly like our group at IDIAP. So we're an academic group. We focus on biometrics and related to also the biometrics, including like vein biometrics, and and speaker and face, different types of face modality, because you have like near infrared, 3D, normal imaging, videos, and then some spoofing. So basically, when you attack a system, how you attack a biometric system or age assurance system. By attack, I mean you pretend to be someone else, basically, not what you're supposed to be. So if you attack an age assurance system, it means you're pretending to be, if you're adult, you're pretending to be a child. If you're a child, you're pretending to be adult. It means you're trying to spoof that system, make that system believe you are not the person you are. In the biometric system, you're trying to be somebody else, not you, but not John, but Greg or Kate. Maybe you want to do cross-gender, why not? And then you have a protection systems, detection systems, so we do all those type of things. And this is the group. So like we have a group leader, Sebastian Marcel, and then we have several researchers like myself, and then students and postdocs. So it's like a 15 plus interns, so it's a 15 people, 20 people, it's kind of large. So this is like deepfakes in the news. I give it like QR code instead of playing videos or audio because they're lengthy. So you can scan if you want, or you can just Google. There's a lot of examples of deepfakes. Audio deepfakes are very prevalent. There's a recent famous one in the news that some Hong Kong accountant gave 25 million to some people through deepfake Zoom call. So basically, which is very actually interesting case in terms of technologically speaking, it's very hard. So that means those Zoom call people, they created like a special room with equipment, with GPUs. They were doing live streaming deepfakes, which is very hard to do, technologically speaking. So they invested quite a bit of money and effort into knowing people in the company, and then made actually it worked because they spoofed the guy and tell him to transfer $25 million, which is quite nice. Well, they're in jail now, I think, in the end of the day, but it worked. They just didn't have an exit strategy, I guess. So, so there are two. So I'm going to focus on two modalities: voice and image and video. So faking the voice, right? So there are typically two types of faking the voice. One is text-to-speech, which is what is mostly familiar to. It's more prevalent, more common. Like you have these synthetic voices like Alexa, Siri, and all sorts of things. Every company has their own synthetic voice generator. So you have text that you type, and then that model, that machine will speak the text for you in a certain voice. So I'll show you like a couple of examples. And then there is voice conversion, when it's actually you convert the voice of one real person to the voice of another real person. So you change the tonality of the voice of that real person. So that person will start sound like someone else. So that's another type of technology, but it's also a fake generation. So I'm using only open source tools. So here there is no private anything. It's all GitHub. You can download and do it yourself.
Also a popular contrivance whereby lovemaking may be suspended but not stopped during the picnic season.
This is a real example. So it's a data set example, which is an academic data set example, very good quality, some text from classical authors being read in a soundproof room. So ideal conditions. And this is original voice, so you know how the fake one would sound like if you convert or text-to-speech methods. Use text. So this is the next one is a fake one.
Also a popular contrivance whereby lovemaking may be suspended but not stopped during the picnic season.
So this example you can consider now being old. In the sense, I mean, the speed the technology develops is very fast, as we all know from the news as well. So this is like it's a 4 years old model. I would say like the paper came out 4 years ago, and then it's what been used. We had adapted it, tuned for the specific person, but you can hear the metallic sound, so it's not natural. This one should be more natural. It's a more later. It's a 1 year old.
Also, a popular contrivance whereby lovemaking may be suspended but not stopped during the picnic season.
You can hear it's actually quite realistic. So, and it's true, quite realistic. Even if it's not through the speakers, but through the good quality speakers, it sounds very nice. Also, that model allows you to do some emotion kind of into it. Like it's a bit random. You cannot condition it. You cannot make them angry. But the papers are coming out that allow you to make someone sound only angry or only happy. So these things, like this is random in terms of tonality, but you can have that these days. It's getting there, but the quality already quite high.
Alice opened the door and found that it led into a small passage not much larger than a rat hole.
So this example of fake sound, that is like what I call it in the wild, in a sense. Like it's not I just recorded myself in a normal phone, and then I try to use to train a model to like replicate that voice using the older method, and then the newer method.
I'm going to speak this line for all to be amused.
You can hear the difference between, maybe you can hear something like we call it artifacts. They're not supposed to be there. So the reason is that when you have when you use a very clean data set in soundproof room recorded with a good mic, you have very good results. That's what Alexa and all these people do. They actually train models on very high quality things. But if you have real life, and what we're considering here in the age insurance type of situation is a real life examples, and people just doing a phone in a busy, noisy environment, you'll have artifacts. You will not have a very good quality, actually, synthetic thing. So that's something to be aware of, and that can be detected. That's basically the point.
There was nothing else to do, so Alice soon began talking again.
This is like a voice conversion, as I was saying. So I convert a real voice of my wife, who is a female, into this voice. So this voice is supposed to be my voice, but it's from my wife. So you can see this cross-gender can work. It's not perfect. You have artifacts, but it's not too bad, actually. So this is another one, bad
My
one.
name is Laura Kratuk, and I live Avenue on Wiltshire.
See, so this shows you how bad it can also get. So both are open source, code somewhere online, and you can do both of them, but one is really good, relatively speaking. The other one is totally garbage, I would say. So there is these things, a variety of methods exist that create fake stuff. All right, so now images. So for images, like a typical simple example, de-aging or otherwise aging people, you can have like you change faces basically from a photo and you make them younger. So Snapchat filters do that, for example. This is like I generate myself using StyleGun. If someone knows, it's a StyleGun model that's quite well known. So it's relatively speaking, very easy to do. Actually, yeah, you can see some of there is sometimes papers underneath. So this is published basically in scientific conferences. Then you can like generate images controlling pose, expressions. So it means you can do both, control pose, expressions, and age, and try to fool the system. There is also like a morphing attacks, which is like subset of the attacks on the system. Morphing is a bit different in terms of conceptually. So the idea there is that you try to find a mix of two people. Intentionally, you're not replacing one with another, or you're not generating a completely fake person. You're actually taking two real people, you're mixing them together, like blending them in one, that middle person should look like both of them. So this scenario is usually border security type of scenario of usage when you have one person, your friend. So imagine I'm a terrorist, for example. So because I came up from Russia, I'm sorry about that, by the way, and then it's not hard to imagine. So let's say I'm a terrorist and I have a friend who is not Russian and not Chinese and not Iranian and not someone else, and it's kind of like, let's say English, not terrorist. So I have a friend, English, who is not terrorist, but he's a good friend of mine. So what we do, we create a morph of two images, me and my friend. So he's a accomplice of mine, but he's not a terrorist. And then we create an image that resembles both of us. And he uses the automatic system, like online system, to apply for documents here in England, and with that image instead of his own, but that morphed image. And he get a valid passport or ID card with that image. And then I use that ID card and I cross the border and I blow up myself or someone else. I don't know. So it's hard for me because I'm not really a terrorist, sorry, but yeah, so just make sure you don't think that. Anyway, so the point is that you have an accomplice there and you create a morphed image and you can use it. The person who is forbidden to cross the border, he can cross the border now. So this is a security type of situation. Right, now visual deepfakes, audio-visual deepfakes. So these are videos. So those have been voices, images, synthetic images, now videos.
I'm 43 years old and I'm becoming bald.
So this example I did specifically for this session. This is my son, basically, 11 years old. He was not, well, he's consented to this. Let's say that. He's 11, so he has no legal rights to say no. Right? I mean, you know how it works if you have kids. So I told him to speak a random set of phrases that looks like he's an old person, adult, well, old, 40 plus, not really old, but adult. And then basically, I spoke also some phrases like this. I'm really a little child, so don't get fooled by my appearance. I think I'm not adult at all. So some foolery. And then he recorded, let's say, 10 phrases like this for child and 10 phrases like this for me. So it's about 5 seconds each, I don't know, about a minute. And this is going to be the result of swapping one into another, both voice and face. I'm 43 years old and I'm becoming bald. So this is my child now, looks like kind of me and with my voice. So you've heard the original sound and face, so this is the other way around from adult to child is a bit harder because the model for voice especially cannot, is not trained on children, didn't see children data, so the high pitch of the child, it didn't capture very well, so you can hear it. I'm really a little child, so don't get fooled by my appearance. I think I'm not adult at all. So this is the swapping. So basically I put the face and voice of one person instead of the face and voice of another person. And this is the combination, and you can see the transition between the two.
I'm 43 years old
and I'm becoming bald.
I have a large house and
I live in the center of London.
My wife doesn't like me
anymore. There is more where it comes from. So if you're interested for other crazy examples like that I was told not to put in a public presentation, please let me know, I will show you. Also, I have a lot of ugly, like, you know, this is like a good, how to say, so just to tell you how long it took, right? So I have the system set up, everything is kind of ready, right? So pre-processing and training the model takes about an hour and 10 hours, right? So like pre-processing fast, So I extract the images, voices, and I train models, voice model and the face model. So training for both models takes about 10 hours on GPU. And then the model convert real faces into the fake faces, and then you assemble that back into the video. That takes quite fast, right? So yeah, so it's like it's not it's negligible. So you would say like in one working day you can get, or like you do it in the evening, you submit training, you in the morning you get the videos, basically like this, 1 minute each. So not very large, not very difficult to do actually. So I don't know how much more time I have. Oh, I still have time. Okay. I was trying to be fast. So, but so now I created data set. So this type of videos that I showed, right? This is just an example. I mean, I cannot use kids. So the problem is age assurance, right? You cannot use kids. There is not much data of kids overall, everywhere. It's basically quite illegal. Not illegal, but it's very hard to obtain, so people don't obtain it. But there are a lot of adult videos and normal data sets, people get recorded all the time. So that's usually what we use. So with age, with this type of child versus adult, this is only example that I showed specifically because I could use my child to demonstrate, right? To demonstrate the danger of this type of things. But the data set we created, for example, is adult only, swapping between different adults. There we would also wanted to know if you do this kind of face and voice swapping, how bad it is in terms of recognition, like whether the face recognition systems and voice recognition systems will be fooled by this type of attacks, like with this type of fakes. So, so here we have like separately speaker recognition, which is speech brain, which is kind of like a quite good model, let's say, recognition model. This is like a numbers, like actually the percentages, you can say. So in the last column, this is what is important, shows that depending on the model, I was demonstrating you some of the examples. Some of the fake voices were good, but some sounded gibberish. And that reflects actually into the results of recognition. So if recognition is full, that number on the last column will be very high. So, but with the model that we manually tuned, like not manually, we tuned ourselves to the dataset examples. There is this called FreeVC, right? I mean, it's online, you know, you can download it, but we tuned the model. So it means we train it longer, like what I did for my son and me as well. I trained it for a few hours, right? Then you can achieve like 94% spoof rate, which means in 94 cases out of 100, the recognition system, very high quality, very high-end recognition system of voice will think those were people they're claiming to be. They're fake, but they claim to be that person. And the system thinks, yes, true. So it means you fool the system, but not always. So like depending on the model you use for voice conversion or of text-to-speech. So here is face recognition, the same thing. So you have different types of model resolution, different types of training parameters and blending parameters, like, because the process of finding this perfect set of parameters that creates a visually looking good deepfake is not actually easy. It took me, so like to get this swapping me and my son, it took me 10 hours, but before that, several months to finding those type of parameters and setting up the system, right? So it takes time. Although there are tools now that you can do almost automatically. So actually you don't need, I mean, it's getting easier and easier. Also you can pay people. They're willing to do it for you. Probably this as well, like if I lose my job, I probably can work for those people. Those are Russians anyway. Yeah, well, it's a bad job though. It's like, anyway, so yeah, so you can see like in 99%, so basically almost 100% of the time the system was fooled by a good model, good deepfake model. So like deepfake with high quality and the face recognition. So it's mobile face net. It's not the latest one, but it's quite good anyway. So it's quite okay. So this is how it looks like if you see the scores distribution. I don't know how much you're interested in, but you can. So the blue blue kind of column, this is like what we call bona fides. So these are real examples. So it's like a Gary claiming to be a Gary. So he's in the blue category. The red one is the Kate claiming to be a Gary. They're both real, but they are basically, they're supposed to be detected by being not Gary. So, or being not Kate or whatever. So basically there's like a threshold. So each system, verification system, it says, okay, it detects a person who is correct versus person who is not that person. So those people who are not those people in the red, those people who are those people are in the blue. So they are separated. So when they separate means the recognition system works very well. They separate the two categories. Now we create deep fakes. Now we introduce fake. The fake is this orange, yellowish looking thing. So if our deepfakes are perfect, they will be exactly like blue. But here you can see they are on the right side of threshold, so they're far away from red, but they're not exactly like blue. So what it tells us that there is a hope that we can detect them because they're not exactly like blue. So because they're a bit different. They are quite, they're not like red, but they are also not like blue. They're in the middle. That's basically the point. Same for face. They are very far on the right, but they are not, the scores for fakes, they are not exactly like, they're not matching exactly. So there is a way, that means we can detect them. All right, so this is basically the, I would say, conclusion, roughly. So synthetic data, right? So we have all this type of synthetic data. There's much more, right? You can have small regions being synthesized in the face. You don't need to synthesize the whole face. You can synthesize only mouse. You can only, in a video, you can only change one word or 5 words in the video. You don't need to change the whole thing. So all those things are kind of complicated, I would say. It complicates the situation with detecting it and protecting ourselves from that. And also there is another issue that people believe a lot of things, and even if you tell them it's fake, they may not believe it. They will think it's real because, you know, Donald Trump told them so. Oh God, yeah, actually it's even worse probably. So age insurance, if you come to age insurance is as vulnerable as recognition. So the point is, I didn't show the results with age insurance systems. This is a work in progress. This is actually very novel in that sense, because there's no work on age insurance, how vulnerable it is to the fake content, to spoofing type of attacks. And that's what we are basically working right now on. So this is like kind of a new, I would say it's a kind of new subfield of this fraud detection. But I'm sure it's as vulnerable, even not more so. Because it's easier to pretend to be a child. You don't even need deepfakes for that. You can show a picture of a child. You don't need to be even your own picture of a childhood. Because there is no, if you don't have recognition, that means it can be any child. Real-time deepfakes post-threat. Yeah, so there is liveness detection, which is quite common in industry to use to protect yourself against attacks. You ask interactively a client to do something, like interactive, like real-time. You say, you know, turn your head, say something. This is very common in industry as a simple way to prevent this type of attacks. But real-time deepfakes can circumvent that. So you can attach a GPU to your laptop, and you can real-time do that on a virtual camera, and it will not check. You will pass liveness detection. So you still have to have a system that will detect synthetic media. Detection methods struggle to generalize to unseen deepfakes. So what I mean by that? So there are a lot of detection systems being developed daily, models, papers. Also, there are some already startups doing that. But the problem is that they're trained, usually the model they provide, they're trained on some data to detect fake versus real, but they cannot generalize. When they see a new fake created differently, that they were not in the training data, they have a problem actually detecting those new fakes that were not appearing before. So what it means that every time there's some new way to create fake, it will disrupt all the detection method again. So you have to always keep monitoring and updating your detection system every time. So this is a problem. Scientifically, it's a problem because you want to have a solution that generalizes to even unseen, to new stuff without needing to update it. Maybe it's not a problem for business because those detection companies will always have business, always have money. So maybe it's a good thing. But yeah, the idea now is like the direction that academics are moving towards is trying to find generalizable ways to find models that can perform well, even though the training data did not see this type of fake. Right, and I already mentioned lack of children real and deepfake data. So there's no data of children anywhere almost, so very, very few. So that means for age assurance is specifically an issue because we want to protect kids online, protect their privacy, protect them from harm, from pedophilia, from all sorts of actors who try to, bully them online and things like that. But we cannot collect data of them to do so. So in a sense, it becomes like chicken and egg problem because in order to protect them, we need to get something that belongs to them, like I did for my son, right? I used his data without him understanding what I did. He will understand later and will blame me probably. Well, I was told not to put it online, so it should be okay. So here is the, if you want to see like a data set example and download data set, I don't know, for deepfakes, you can scan the QR code, and then there's papers that we published on these topics. So this is basically all available online, almost all. I mean, if you wanted some ugly examples, this is available only on my laptop. Right, any questions?
Really interesting and very amusing as well.
Yeah. I was trying to be entertaining as well. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for making us giggle there. I'm particularly interested in the way that you could get your wife to talk for you through technology.
Yeah.
It's been happening for years without technology.
Well, the kids are harder.
Yeah.
Actually, recording kids that's what I learned also. Jokes aside, if you collect data for children, it's not easy because they are not adults. They cannot just do what you ask them. They find it's a different psychology. It's very hard for them to focus, to read what to tell them to do, and it's interesting. It's like it's a bit different, like personal. You have to be personal with kids to help to collect actual data from them. So yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.